Good day everyone and welcome to Learn English with Blaine, and this is your beginner dictation number 57, and we are continuing to focus on the past continuous, and in this case we are using the past continuous to refer to an ongoing past action that was interrupted by another past action. So again, we are going to consider the past continuous to refer to an ongoing past action that was interrupted by another past action. So in other words, in these dictations, there are going to be two past actions, one happening before the other. And you'll see that as we go through these examples. So, do you have your pen and your paper ready? Because remember that you are going to listen and then write what you hear. Now, in this video, there will be 7 dictations, and I will say each one 3 times. After you write your dictation on your paper, you will underline the subjects, the past continuous verbs, and the simple past verbs, because there will be a past continuous verb and a simple past verb as well. Let's take a look at an example. So if I say, I was running when I fell. I was running when I fell. You will first look for the subject of the past continuous verb, which is right here. I was running. I was running. And then another action happened. And you're going to underline the subject and the simple past verb for that one. I fell. So I was running when I fell. This means that you fell, but before that you were running. So you were running, right? You were running and then you fell. So this was happening first and then this happened. The verb, the action that takes the past continuous is always the one that happened first. Okay, so this happened first and then this happened. So again, we have the past continuous and the simple past. Okay, let's get on with our dictations. Dictation number 1. I was working when she called. I will repeat that 2 more times. I was working. I was working when she called. When she called. Okay, so this is what I said. I was working when she called, period. I was working when she called. Now, let's look for the past continuous subject, the past continuous verb, and the subject is I was working, and then the simple past form is, and the subject is she called. I was working, right? This was happening, and then she called. I was working, she called. So you were doing this, and then this happened. Okay, let's go on to our next dictation, number 2. We were walking in the forest when we saw a deer. Period. We were walking. We were walking in the forest. In the forest. When we saw, when we saw a deer, a deer, period. We were walking in the forest when we saw a deer, period. We were walking in the forest when we saw a deer. Now, let's look for the past continuous verb and the subject. We were walking. We were walking. Now, let's find the simple past verb and the subject. We saw. We were walking. We were walking. We saw. So again, this was happening. We were walking. And then when we were in the process of doing that, we saw a deer. Okay, let's go on to our next dictation, number 3. The children were walking when it started to rain, period. The children were walking. The children were walking. When it started to rain, period. The children were walking when it started to rain. The children were walking when it started to rain. Okay, again, let's look for the past continuous verb and the subject. Right here, right? The children were walking. Now, what about the simple past verb and the subject? It started. The children were walking. It started. Subject, past continuous. Subject, simple past. Okay, let's go on now to our next dictation, number 4. I was eating lunch. I was eating lunch when I began to feel sick, period. I'll say that once more. I was eating lunch. I was eating lunch when I began to feel sick, period. I was eating lunch when I began to feel sick, period. I was eating lunch when I began to feel sick. Now, let's look for the past continuous verb and the subject. Right there, I was eating. And then what about the simple past form and the subject? I began. I was eating. I began. Past continuous, simple past. Okay, so we are moving on to our next dictation. Johnny was cleaning his room when I arrived home. Period. Johnny was cleaning. Johnny was cleaning his room. His room. When I arrived home. When I arrived home. Period. Johnny was cleaning his room when I arrived home. Period. Johnny was cleaning his room when I arrived home. Period. Okay, past continuous verb and the subject. Johnny was cleaning. Johnny was cleaning. And what about the simple past verb and the subject? I arrived. Johnny was cleaning. I arrived. Okay, let's go on to our next dictation. Dictation number 6. Your son was eating lunch when you left for work. Period. Your son was eating lunch. Your son was eating lunch when you left for work. When you left for work. Period. Your son was eating lunch when you left for work. Period. Your son was eating lunch when you left for work. Now, we're going to find the past continuous verb and the subject, which is right here. And the simple past verb and the subject is you left. Your son was eating lunch when you left for work. In other words, this was happening, right? This was happening, and then this happened. Okay, so let's move on to our last dictation of the video, dictation number 7. Dictation number 7. I was talking to my mother when they came by. Period. I was talking to my mother. I was talking to my mother. I was talking to my mother when they came by. When they came by. Period. I was talking to my mother when they came by. Period. I was talking to my mother when they came by. Okay, now let's find the past continuous verb and the subject. I was talking. I was talking. And then let's find the simple past verb and the subject. They came by. They came by. I was talking to my mother when they came by. Now remember, everyone, you are always, when we are talking about the past continuous to refer to an action interrupted by another past action, we're going to have the past continuous and the simple past. And very often, as you can see in all these examples, we're going to have the word when. This is a very common expression, or a very common word that we use in these situations. Now, for more information about the past continuous, check out the links in the description. My website is currently under construction, but more content and exercises are being added on a weekly basis. So I want to thank all of you for watching the video. I hope you got something out of it. I really do. I hope it was very helpful for you. And remember, leave your comments or questions in the comment section below. And if you like the video, please remember to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. And have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.